You're watching The Wellness Hour, leader in medical news and information. I'm Randy Alvarez. Today's topic, lean pregnancy. With us, we have an expert on the topic, Andrea Orbeck.
Hi.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, for people that don't know you, you have, I should mention, you're a television host or a host on AOL with Heidi
Correct.
Klum.
Yes.
What do you talk about on that show, by the way?
Everything that has to do with health and wellness and fitness, just anything, how to buy running shoes, to how to read nutritional labels, to how to do commercial break exercises, anything that's just of general interest that has to do with fitness.
One of the things that made you famous, I guess, is getting Heidi Klum back in shape.
Correct.
After 1 or 2 pregnancies?
3.
Okay. You work with Victoria's Secret models?
Yes, I do. Yep. Carolina Kurkova has been a client of mine, Does and Crows. There's a lot of girls in the industry.
I'm looking at your Alicia Silverstone.
Correct.
Maria Menounos, Reba McEntire, Queen Latifah.
Correct.
Usher. Now, why would Usher go to you? Because I thought that you specialize in women and pregnancy.
Right. Well, that happens to be, after getting Heidi, you become the Pied Piper of all things model. However, you'd have to ask Usher. But I think that because I'm a former athlete, he kind of wanted to know all about just training and be able to be conditioning and how that looks. And so I got the call and we did the deed.
So what do you call yourself? I mean, you're a wellness coach?
Yeah, I'm a fitness expert. I have a background in exercise physiology, and then I also have my, specific certifications in fitness and wellness for pregnancy. So, I can do it all.
So how'd you meet Heidi Klum?
I was in my studio with a patient actually that was referred to me who was doing rehabilitation on his hip, and after 3 or 4 sessions, after a week, Seal was in the gym and he finally walked up to me and just said, I've been watching you, I like your methodology, and do you want to work with my wife? So, after
Did you know it was Seal?
Yeah,
Obviously?
I did, yeah, and when he walked up to me, I just kind of had that hope that was what the conversation was going to be about, and in fact it was. So I got a call a couple days later and her famous lovely voice came, and it started from there, and that was like almost 5 years ago.
So you work with her all the time?
I see her when she needs me, for sure. Heidi's amazing at maintaining when she doesn't have a trainer, and so what's great about it is that when she needs me, I'm there, and when she doesn't, she maintains it.
Who's your typical client? I mean, is it only celebrities or models?
No, actually, I didn't start out that way. It just happened to be that when you get into that niche group, it tends to grow in that area. However, my average client is the woman who just wants to stay lean and fit, and then men that want to know about how to maintain lean muscle mass and get their cholesterol down. That's the average.
Now, lean pregnancy. Why the interest in pregnancy?
Well, I happen to have a passion for women and their fitness levels. It's an area of specificity I'm very well educated in.
Okay.
6 million women a year get pregnant, and it's the only time in a woman's life where she has to volunteer to expand her girth and that terrifying weight gain within less than a year. And that's really hard, and with it brings a lot of challenges and fears. And so I like to support women and dispel the myths to kind of keep them going all the way through those trimesters to stay as healthy as they can.
Now, do you go in their homes, in these celebrity homes?
If it's required, definitely. I will travel with a client if necessary. Most of the time I'm LA based in West Hollywood, but if the...
You have keys to their house, I heard.
Yeah, I really do. There are
why
clients,
is that?
just simply because they let me in. I wear a lot of hats, not unlike a lot of people in the profession.
You have to wake them up sometimes?
Sometimes you really do. If they've had like a heavy night of filming and they need to get up and they're by themselves, I will get the coffee going in the morning and I'll get food going and get them out of bed and get their day started with their goals, for sure.
Okay, I have a lot of questions about pregnancy, by the way.
Okay.
But I want to ask you a couple other things. You also have a DVD series.
I do.
That you sell. Tell me
Yes,
about
I
those.
do. One is called Supermodel Series, and it's basically just all the moves that I'm famous for with all of my girls, the proprietary little secrets that are no longer a secret.
Okay.
And then I also have one that's being released shortly called Pregnancy Sculpt, and it's just all the proprietary moves, but modified for the safety considerations.
Proprietary moves.
Yep, they
you
are.
You came up with these moves.
Yes, they are. It's just a combination of everything that I've needed to do to create a situation for a girl on the runway. So they have to be fast and efficient, and they have to have tonality to them. And then with a pregnancy, you just have to modify slightly to make sure that you're safe for mom and baby.
How much should a woman gain during pregnancy?
It depends on how much body fat they have going into fertility. So we use like the BMI is a very standardized measurement, and then we just take the height and the girth, and then we have a number. Now, if your number is around 18 to 20, you should gain around 35 pounds. If you're heavier than that, the amount of weight you need to gain to have a full-term healthy pregnancy goes down. For instance, unfortunately, if you're obese, the BMI of 30 or higher, you shouldn't gain any more than 15 to 18 pounds.
Are you convinced, by the way, that if you eat poorly during pregnancy, you're going to have an overweight child?
I think that there are correlations. I've read probably 20 or 30 studies that support that if your habits during pregnancy tend to make your baby overweight, we can have fat babies. It's no longer the cute little cuddly fat baby. You know, a 7.5 to 8.5 pound baby is quite healthy. Any fatter than that, and notwithstanding gestational diabetes and considerations that may make a baby, you know, a fatter birth, those things are really important, and they are correlating now that those lifestyle habits, when a baby is born overweight, plus coupled with the modeling behaviors of the parents, it does lead to the obesity epidemic. And
okay, so when does it start? When do you, ideally, in a perfect world, I guess, when would you meet with a client? Prior to pregnancy?
Yes.
When?
I like fit fertility. I really like that term, fit fertility, simply because you're going to start to lose the bad habits and start to take on the really positive habits that you need, A, to be healthy for yourself, and then B, to be healthy for your baby, and C, to be healthy for your family. So it starts in the inception, the very beginning, and then you maintain those good, healthy habits throughout. We know all the benefits.
So you laid out for them as far as nutrition,
correct,
what they're eating, what they're doing. I mean, you give them a plan.
For sure,
you call
a plan.
Them protocols.
Yes, they're protocols. And I have a lot of systems that are available to me around the world, no matter where someone is, that they can have nutrition, they can have psychological support, they can have all the support that they need to make sure that their goals are coming to fruition, and then they employ a lot of my protocol on top of that.
Okay, so lean pregnancy.
Yes.
Fit fertility. Now, what about exercise during pregnancy? What are your thoughts there? Because some guys say, you know, Randy, you got to be careful. They really have to slow down during pregnancy. A lot of bouncing and running.
Right.
And you told me in our green room, they can, if they're runners, they can run.
If you're a
Tell
runner,
me about that.
Okay, great. Well, if you're a runner and your doctor has given you the green light, you can run all the way throughout. A lot of the problems...
Do you have people that do that?
I have marathoners that will actually still compete in a marathon, and just recently in the news we've seen that a lady...
7 months pregnant, really?
Yes, correct, and she was actually in her, I think, 38th week, almost right to delivery, and she delivered shortly after competing the marathon.
What about gynecologists? What do they have to say about that?
You know, the jury is out.
Well-known, Dr. Clapp. Right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, and he's brilliant.
What does he say about that?
You know, he's done thousands of studies with hundreds of thousands of women, and really what the jury is you know, come to the conclusion is that women can and should exercise during pregnancy. We know we can.
Is the belief, by the way, because I don't know, I mean, this is not something that I'm really interested in particular,
sure.
But it's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
But is there a belief out there, or are pediatricians, or not pediatricians, gynecologists advising women to slow down and cut off exercise?
Not as much, because, you know, the American College of Gynecologists and Obstetricians, the ACOG, is now revising itself to kind of parallel itself with the research that we know about pregnancy.
So more and more doctors are advising them to work out.
We now know that there's a lot more research that supports and advocates it. It's not only now an option, it's actually becoming a consideration and an advisement, which we love, because we know that science tells us you really can and should be exercising, even moderately, during all the weeks of your pregnancy.
Weights?
Yes, for sure, because you are lifting weights inherently. Over 40 weeks, you are gaining 35 pounds sometimes in the frontal area. Your boobs are getting bigger, you're getting huge in the belly, so therefore your spine is having to consider all that anterior shift. You want to be able to be strong, to be able to support the rapid changing movements and shifts with weight in your own frame.
Let me ask you a question. Have you worked, because I know you've worked with a lot of pregnant women during, I guess, all the way through, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you had women that you work with them on their second pregnancy because of word of mouth?
Yes.
They say she's the go-to person. And when it's all done, do they say this was so much easier than my first one?
Yes, they have. And actually, so they kind of support all the longitudinal studies that we already know, in that when you are healthy and you're fit, your body is more efficient. And when you're pregnant, you're actually maintaining and growing tissue. We call it a fetus, and then that tissue is called a baby. However, we are creating physiologically new tissue. We're growing a new organ. It's called the placenta. And all those rapid changes need to have efficiency.
So you'll work with both vegetarians. Some people are vegetarians
Correct.
during this.
Yes, I do.
Or people that eat meat.
Sure.
And so is it like a zone diet? If you had to categorize it?
You know, I think that with pregnancy, you know, they used to say you're eating for 2, but that doesn't mean you're eating for twice as much. And in the beginning, you're eating for a pea, and then a peanut, and then the size of an avocado. So really, the consideration is to make sure that you're getting in at least 300 additional calories than you usually take in, and they are healthy. They're green, they're lean,
it's like about 1,800 calories
protein.
for the average woman.
Correct. Correct. It only really takes 80,000 calories to grow a baby to full term. So that doesn't mean that we're supposed to eat Haagen-Dazs every night. It's really just half a sandwich and a glass of milk. That equates to the extra 300 calories.
But that's not what you recommend they eat, though.
Not in itself, no, but I mean, it just depends on what they need. I like leafy greens. I like non-refined, non-processed foods. I think fiber is really important. A lot of clean and lean proteins, well-cooked meat, nothing that's going to cause any kind of problems like raw fish or anything like that. Really good, sound nutrition is an additive to the growth requirement of you and your baby during that time.
One of the biggest mistakes women make when they're pregnant, when it comes to their health?
They tend to overeat. They tend to be underactive, and what ends up happening is they gain too much maternal body fat, and they suffer worse from the problems that they could have avoided if they'd been active. For instance, low back problems. There's a lot of shifts in your spine.
Do you think they just don't have a plan?
I think that they're scared.
In a way?
Correct. I think that they're afraid, and that's a real true thing for them. If they're not having the information that they need, supported by their doctor or their community or where they get their information, that's a problem. If they're not active, they have a sedentary lifestyle, so that's going to be a problem. And if they just don't know what to eat because their habits are already poor, that's going to just exacerbate as they need to add more calories.
How much exercise a day?
I think that as little as 15. And no more than an hour is needed. If you're really super...
So 8 months pregnant, they can do an hour workout?
Absolutely. If your doctor gives you the go-ahead and everything is fine and you're having a normal pregnancy, notwithstanding any problems, gestational diabetes, placenta previa, any of those problems that say you should have bed rest, there's no reason if you're fit and active that you shouldn't be fit and active.
Okay, now you have this philosophy also about working out.
I do.
These short, what do you call it?
I call them minute movements.
Minute movements,
yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, it's time under tension. Sometimes our lifestyles just don't accommodate us to be able to spend XYZ amount of hours at the gym. I really feel that intensity is a surrogate for time. For instance, when we look at comparative between a marathoner and someone who's a little bit more of a high-intensity bursting sprinter, we can differentiate between their body. They really are. And so therefore, if an individual only has 15 minutes, I would say do more intense stuff to be able to create more flame and metabolism.
Long duration cardio?
Not as much, no. I think that it's not needed.
Give us the inside scoop here. Okay. So the people that are paid to look fantastic,
right,
that are on magazine covers, are your clients.
Sure, they are.
And they're not doing long duration cardio.
No, not often they're not.
That's
Most
good.
of the time I have them doing circuits, I have them doing intensity. I want them to maintain lean muscle without the mass for the women. I like to be able to say, what are the bodies we love? We love a sprinter, we love a ballerina, we love girls lean and cut, however, without a lot of mass and a lot of girth. Cardio is really good for your heart, and we need to do cardiorespiratory kind of exercises.
So 1 minute kind of burst training.
Yes, 1 to 2 at 70 to 80%, and then take a bit of a recovery, and then go back in and try and do at least 10 sets of that.
Is this what Hollywood is doing, by the way?
That's what Hollywood's doing. They're running up and down the ball. Yes, they run up and down the boulevard fast as they can.
Those stairs, what are they called over there?
Santa Monica stairs.
Santa Monica stairs.
Correct.
They do those kind of sprints up and then
they recover, and then they flush, and then they go and do it again. And what that does is it kills a couple birds with one stone. Not only are you burning your fat, because you are doing, you are exerting and using glycogen and using fat as a storage, you're using the muscles required for that intensity.
Okay.
So then you're going to sculpt your tush and you're going to sculpt your legs because you're doing muscular work as well. So it's efficient, and I like efficiency simply because people don't have the time, and we have science on our side to tell us that it works.
Okay, so you lay this out.
I lay it out.
What about supplements during pregnancy?
Yeah, well, a doctor, obviously, I'm not a specialist in that area, so I really like to make sure that they're lending an ear to their health professional, but we know that they need...
But your clients are taking supplements?
Correct, always, and most of the time beforehand. They're taking folic acid before they get pregnant, and then afterwards they're taking a prenatal vitamin. Okay. That's super important. They need their iron, you need vitamin C, you need vitamin D, you need an additive of the things you're usually taking.
You're big on vitamin D?
I'm sure I'm big on vitamin D and C, yes, and I actually really support essential fats, definitely.
What drives you crazy? I mean, is there a frustration? Do you hear things in the press or in the media about working out or exercise during pregnancy What drives you crazy? Is there anything that
there's a couple fallacies that are really, really terribly ignorant. One has to do with if you exercise and your heart rate is going up really high. It does anyway, but you can reduce and restrict blood flow and oxygen to your baby.
Okay.
That's simply not true. The placenta is so efficient, it gets its job done. The minute you have conception, your body knows it's a baby-making machine. You may go ahead and be as active as you want, of course with limitations. I don't recommend skydiving. I don't recommend kickboxing. Those things are just foolish. But if you're active and you're a runner and you like cardio and weights, you can and should do those activities. Another is that your baby can flip upside down, or that you
I've heard that. Right. Knowing you were going to come on today, I saw that. That they could flip upside down. So that's
there are certain yoga postures that they say can have a baby turn into breech, and so that's not a fallacy. However, if you're running, your baby is not bouncing and jarring around, requiring a helmet inside the placenta, banging its head back and forth. It's in a very protective environment, and you're getting all the oxygen and nutrients that you need. That placenta is a really interesting organ. It brings in nutrients and oxygen. It knows how to flush out all the toxins in your body. It's an amazing, amazing adaptive organ.
Okay, so for women watching this, that, I mean, the goal would be to gain about 35, 40 pounds at the most.
Yes.
During pregnancy. I mean, with the exception of somebody that's 6'5" or a really big person.
Of course.
So to do that, they got to go to the right kind of diet, take the right kind of supplements, exercise the way you are recommending.
Correct.
Okay, so it's all done. They had their baby. Mm-hmm. They want to get it off. So do they go to you and say, okay, what's the fastest way I can lose this weight?
I get that all the time.
Because they're in the business.
I get that all the time.
What do you tell them?
Well, I call it the fourth trimester, because that's the point where we need to settle our hormones. If we're going to be lactating and we're breastfeeding, we have considerations with the estrogen, progesterone. All the levels are different than, I myself sitting here right now. So we need to be able to give ourselves a break and get into a routine of sleeping patterns, sleeping habits. We need to allow our body to be postpartum for just a minute. Gentle walking. However, when your doctor gives you, exactly, but it's progressive. It's not a cessation. I mean, the ultimate marathon has already happened, which was delivery.
All right.
And then after the fourth trimester, it's simply a matter of just gauging your body, whether you've had a normal canal birth or a C-section. There's a couple considerations that you need to kind of assess how you're doing and how you feel, and then start progressive. Build that foundation again.
You have women, by the way, because I see celebrities that sometimes after their pregnancy, they look better than they've ever.
Yeah, and sometimes that really does happen. The metabolism just fires right up and they just become, little fat-burning machines, and that does really happen. It's true.
Now, Kardashians, didn't you work with one of the Kardashians?
Courtney I've worked with, yes.
Was that for pregnancy?
No, she'd already had her baby and she just wanted to...
She heard about you?
She just heard about
Orbeck.
me.
You got to see her.
Yes, and that's what happened. And so we worked together, and she's very active and fit as it is. So I think that a lot of people want to try new philosophies and just see,
What about Queen Latifah? What did you see her for?
She's amazing. She's really an advocate of health. So Queen Latifah is a very well-rounded, healthy, mindseted person. And so in working with her, she's had some knee troubles, and so she wanted to do a little physiotherapy. I took her as a referral to her main trainer, Jeanette Jenkins, who's amazing in the industry. And so we've worked with her for a couple years on and off, and she's just phenomenal.
Maria Menounos.
Yes.
Very famous, and I think she had some kind of a weight loss problem in the past.
Well, she's gone up and down like all women have, depending on circumstance. She's lean and mean, fire machine, yeah, for sure. And, she just follows a really active, smart, healthy, active lifestyle. She travels a lot, and so she has to take her routine on the board, and when she's in a hotel room, she knows what to do in the little time she has, and that's where time under tension really comes and happens.
What's that? Tell me about that. Time under
that's
tension.
basically taking XYZ amount of time. I like 1 and 2 minute increments and making it more intense than average. So if you're able to read a magazine and, be too laissez-faire, you're not going intense enough. So it's a matter of saying your tissue responds to tension and imposed demand on the muscle tissue.
So and high intensity, 1 to 2 minutes.
High intensity, 1 to 10 minutes. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. You must run into this every once in a while, where they say, I'm just not a workout person.
Right.
What do you do with these people?
Well, it's a matter of saying, what are your goals? And, can your goals write the check that your lifestyle can cash? And so basically it's a matter of kind of amalgamating where you think you want to be and what you're willing to do. And so it's a matter of kind of finding within your personality and doing what you like. If you're not a runner, you're probably not going to be a runner. If you're in your late 30s and 40s and you haven't picked up running by then, I can't see someone loving it and becoming a marathoner. It can happen, and the bug can get you, but it's a matter of doing what you like. And also too with families, I advocate a cohesion for families to do stuff together. Go ice skating, go to the park and play baseball, do something after school, join a class, join a club. That's what's the important thing, is to make sure that it's pervasive and efficient, and it's something that kind of helps you holistically, not only just in the mirror.
Okay, good. How does somebody get in touch with you, by the way?
Through my website, andreaorbeck.com.
All right. I want to say, final message, by the way. A woman, by the way, who can't get her pregnancy weight off. What do you say to her?
Be persistent. She has to learn about what her lifestyle looks like. She has to be persistent in her training. It has to be consistent, and also her eating. A lot of the time, 70%.
Should they hire a coach? You think everybody needs a coach?
So.
Do you believe so?
You know, I think everyone needs information. So if it comes from the internet and starting a program and joining a website that helps you for 6 weeks, that's the key. And then to be able to do it on your own, join a weight loss club, even with moms or stroller strides. Amazing opportunities for women to get together, share information, be motivated, and then see their goals happen simultaneously.
And to tune in to the show with you, and we're just about out of time.
Yes.
The show with you and Heidi Klum. How do they see that? On AOL?
AOL. It's AOL.com, yes.
And how do you find it there, by the way, on AOL? You just click on what, health?
Yes, health, correct. Yeah,
okay.
It's Heidi Klum on AOL.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. Very
My
interesting.
pleasure.
Great information. You've been watching The Wellness Hour, the leader in medical news and information. I'm Randy Alvarez. If you would like to see this interview again online, you can visit our website at wellnesshour.com. For now, I wish you good health.